Hey guys, ILene Vick here for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. It is Tuesday, April 13th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And this is time for coloring. Live with ILene Vick. Alright. So let's get everybody in the door. Hey Steph. Stephanie, let me know that, what's my level, please? Sound check, level. Try this again, got booted. Please let me know that you can hear me. Six and clear. Okay, thank you. I have no idea why that happened, guys. Hey, Jojo. Hello, Maddie. Okay. All right, so I'm working out of Animals of the World coloring book. Come on in, set right down. Okay. Yes, these books are underrated. Would be good. All right. Hey, Katie. Okay, so I just got a text from Jillian. She said she needs a little more time to judge the entries. She and Sean are taking more time to take a look at them. And that's fine. You guys did a really good job on that stuff. Don't forget we've got a new contest going. Check announcements. And yes, as I was saying, this is a very underrated book. Just absolutely beautiful images in here. And you don't hear too much of it. And you know, guys, this is why I show you the books that I do. Because we got so many nice pieces in the mix, and they just don't get the visibility that I feel they deserve. All right. I'm so glad to see everybody. I don't really have any new announcements yet, other than the fact that Dawn is starting a new contest. So check announcements. And then we're going to figure out the date for the duet color along, because Dawn and I will be doing another one of those. Yay! All right, so let me get this out of the way. It just says DK Publishing. There's no author on it. Zoom in. Zoom in. So there, it is DK Publishing. Excellent, excellent book. And it's in the affiliate list. So if you like the book and like what I'm doing with it, there you go. Oh. All right, let me see. If I can get this line for you. So, zoom in. Zoom in. Okay, see how that's looking? There you go. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Isn't that great? Zoom out. And what I started to say before we were so rudely interrupted is I'm going to take a little bit of my Arteza, however you want to pronounce it, pen. Now, I do want you to know that I went through here, zoom in. Oh, hi, Jillian. So, Jillian, tell us what you like about the entries. Zoom in. So I took a black pen and blackened the eye area to make it stand out more. And now I'm going to take this Arteza and just add another little dotty thing on there. Now remember, sometimes when you add this kind of stuff onto pure black like this, it can end up turning gray. So you just put on some later on. Okay, so Jillian says, I love the imagination everybody applied, the color choices, the clever 3D aspects I've seen, and also the drawing skills. Good. Well, I'm glad that my group is doing them your pictures justice. That's pretty cool. Okay. So what does Sean think? Sean, you knew I was going to put you on the spot. Zoom out. Okay, now the other thing that I did is I went through and I redrew in the lines that were in between all of this metallic stuff. And that's giving this whole thing much, much better definition. zoom out. So let's go ahead here. Oops. I really wanted to get a good portion of this done. Well, Jillian, I'm glad that the group could do a good job on your stuff. All right, Jillian, will you get that judging done? I know a couple of those didn't have names on them, so we can figure that out later. All right, so what I'm doing, and thanks for popping in, sweetie. I'll tell you what, Jillian, before you go. I'll wait another evening to do that. Oh, Sean isn't home yet. Okay. So all right, Jillian, well, you have a great rest of the evening then. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going through and I'm emphasizing the darker bottom now of the scales. Remember, when you're using marker on top of stuff, zoom in. This is where, when you put your marker down, you're going to want to just touch it with your finger. And that gets rid of any little bit of blob, color blob that the marker leaves. And what I also want you to notice too, zoom in. Is I'm going to go up and in between, kind of like teeth here. And that way we're getting a lot of depth on this. Zoom out. Zoom out. Yeah, it is so much fun to be able to talk to the artist, isn't it? Who did the piece. Zoom out. Okay, everybody see now how that's really starting to pop. Now, I don't want anybody fussing over something like this when they do a chameleon, because chameleon pictures are very forgiving artistically. Just have fun with it. Thanks, Jojo. As you can see here, I also introduced the blue, I introduced orange, and then I muted that orange because I didn't want that orange slapping us in the face when you looked at it. And don't forget that some of the ways to mute colors is to put white Prismacolor over it, white pencil, which is exactly what I did. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and play around with the bottom here. And what I would suggest that you do is make sure that you have a light, a medium, and a dark version of whatever you're working with. Okay, there's my medium. Yeah, you're right. That blue does look like a river with tributaries. And again, with a chameleon, it's pretty open what you can do with that. Ooh, that's not. Let's see what we want to do here. Here we go. Now, you don't want to introduce too many colors. Yeah, the scale lines make a difference. And I simply took a pen and did all that, actually. Well, good. I'm glad that this is giving you ideas, Maddie. Zoom in. I'm not planning on working on this chameleon the entire evening, and that's because I got the major things done. But I want to go ahead and get a good portion of it under my hat. And I want you to see especially how this thing comes to life as you're working on it. Because as Maddie said, she didn't think that doing a chameleon could come out so neat and interesting. Oh, Rebecca, congratulations on your anniversary, 18 years. Well, thank you for coming in. Congratulations. Now, if you recall, when I first started this project, I worked on, I started this with eyeshadow. And I laid out some streams of color. And now I'm working around those streams. Now, one of the things that's going to make this look really cool. Rebecca, you have a great rest of the evening. Good night, Miss Rebecca. Have fun. Get lots of cuddles in. Now, if you notice, I'm taking this next green and I'm putting a little bit on top of it, of the previous. And again, this is one of those things that your eye doesn't see, but your brain does. So when you're working with something like this, you want to bring all your colors together and make them flow from one thing to the next. Now, you don't have to get wonky with it, but I don't want you to come into something like this and just throw down color and not work on the dimensional aspects of it, which I'll do in a minute. Zoom out. And I hope that you know by now that when I pick a color to do, a coloring to do, there's a specific reason that I'm picking what I choose. And what you may think is something boring like this chameleon is actually not at all from an artistic standpoint, because now you're seeing all the capabilities of what you can do to take a picture like this and really make it pop. Zoom in. And by the way, welcome, welcome, welcome to all our new people that are coming in. Welcome to those of you that are observing from the balcony and watching. Everybody see how I'm bringing in these streaks of color on this? Now, what I don't want to see happen and have you think, oh, how does she know where to put those streaks of color? Well, there's really no formula per se. But this is why I always tell you guys to tint something. Because when you tint it, that's where you're going to start to see the ideas. It's a sinus issue, Rhonda, but thank you for asking. All right, so now I'm still using my lightest green, and I'm tinting up some of these areas to be darker. Hi, Ashley. I haven't seen you in ages. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my medium green and work in some of the places in between where I put my light green. And notice now with my medium green, I'm just going ahead and putting in these streaks. Going from there and fine tuning. Hey Wanda, zoom in. Now, the one thing that I would definitely say though is that when you're working with your colors, as a rule of thumb, you want your darker colors or your darkest color now to go towards the outside. Zoom out. Zoom out. Now the reason that I'm popping over here is because I want to go ahead and start filling in my patches, and that's going to give me my overall view on this. Zoom in. Oh yay, Wanda, you'll be here all week. How is that happening? By the way, whatever happened to that your refrigeration unit at the restaurant? Now, trust me, especially for people that are beginners, as you are coloring these things, you will start naturally getting comfortable with where you want your darker colors. Hi, Melba. Glad you can come in when you can. Oh, it was a power problem to the building. Okay. Okie dokie smoky. Zoom out. Yeah, that's funny, Melba. You know that you have to have your family coloring fix. That's right. That's right. So guys, now what I'm also doing too is I'm looking at this, of course, on my monitor, and that's helping me balance out everything to see how all of this is going to look. And so far, I'm pretty darn happy with this. All right, so let me pull my darkest green now. And this is where you can go ahead and zoom in, start outlining some of your scales. And not only am I outlining them, I'm also coloring in the blank areas in between, because as you can see, zoom in, we've got some of these scales that are laying on top of open areas. So everywhere that I have an open area here, I'm going to go ahead and put in some darker background. Everybody see how that's making a dimensional effect? And any areas here that I don't have that background that the author didn't draw in, I'm going to go ahead and edge next to the little pebble and call these pebbles. And guys, this is what's really going to make this pop, by hitting that background with your darker color. So it looks like now you've got one scale laying on top of the other. Zoom out. Zoom out. See how we've got some really nice dimension now going through on the bottom of this. So the key is you lay your base color, then you go back, with your light, and then you can start working with your medium and dark to give that dimension that you want. And I promise you that as you start to do this, you're going to start naturally filling in these areas that need to be filled in, right? You'll get it. And I can't emphasize this enough. Zoom in. if you get all fussy about your coloring, you're going to miss coming up with this shading. Why? Because you get so stressed out about what you think you should do that you just don't let it naturally flow. And you guys, you know, we talk about this all the time, is that when you start coloring, you kind of get into like a coloring trance. Oh, Pearl, you need to go back to Michael's and pick it up. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. Remember the little example of the radio station that I've used before? A radio station can only transmit and receive an alternate sequence. It can't do both. So if you're going to sit at your drawing and transmit stress and go, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? You're not going to relax and receive those natural indicators that start to happen when you're coloring. And I can't say this enough. And I know the example may sound a little wonky, but it's spot on. Guys, you really need to stop being so fussy when you're coloring over your stuff. I promise you that as you're coloring, you will innately start to do this stuff. Oh, Jojo, that's welcome. Or wonderful, I mean, for that care package that you put together. Zoom out. There we go. It's kind of like riding a bicycle, guys. When you first start your bicycle, you're all nervous, and you fall and you fall and you fall. And then all of a sudden, it just becomes innate. Well, same with coloring. Well, Kathy, you know, as long as you recognize it, doesn't matter what others think. It really doesn't. There are so many ways to be artistic with stuff that even if you screw it up royally, nobody's going to know. Stop beating up on yourselves, guys. I can't say that enough. So for beginners out there, go ahead and get your light, medium, and dark, and then have at it. And I promise you that as you color more and more, you are going to automatically start making really great choices. Okay, there we go. All right, so now I'm going through, and I am, am I? Okay. Let me put my little protector sheet behind here. Zoom in. So I'm putting down my base color now. Zoom in. Now, we've got this arm right here of this guy. You can see it right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a very, very light green just so I can distinguish that. So we'll leave that sit for a minute. Now, still using my light green, I'm deciding that that's going to go a little darker. That's fine. And you can add your little dimension lines as you're doing this, and then go back in with your next color. And notice how I'm doing this. This area here is getting lighter and lighter because I'm going ahead and just emphasizing my outside a little bit. And then I'm going to go through with my mediums and my darks and put my background in. Because now I want those little individual scales to pop. And if there are some areas that the author didn't make it a background, I'm making it a background. And by that I mean I'm putting the darker color in between these scales. And this technique can be used on all your other colorings. And when you get to the point that you are comfortable with the idea of doing something like this, I am literally shading now in areas that the author didn't put any open lines. And that's how you're getting these dark streaks on the screen. Now, it's all well and good to color things like Johanna Basford and stuff like that, or Kirby Roseanne's. But when you color things like this is where you're learning the technique. So yeah, we're getting a great picture out of it, but I want you to learn the idea of doing the shading in the background. And you know that there are a couple of Kirby Roseannes that are dragons. So this book may not be as famous as the other ones, but look at what you're learning. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay. Everybody see now how that's coming together. And I really wanted you to see that. You know, on all my videos, it's not what I'm coloring that you should be interested in, but yeah, what I'm coloring, but how I'm coloring it. So everybody see now how we've got that. Animals of the World by DK Publishing. Okay. Now, right now, this blue looks a little obnoxious because it's jumping out at us. But this is where I'm going to go ahead and tamp that down now with these other colors that I'm putting on it. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind at all. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, doing the more popular pages. In fact, I'm gearing up now to do a Kirby Roseanne's. Hint, hint. All right, zoom in. Zoom in. So yeah, I'm coloring a chameleon, but what you're learning is how to put this background in and this coloring in between that you can use in your other coloring books. Oop. Pressing a little too hard. So I'm teaching you the concept of depth and outlining. And what I hope that you're also learning is just because an author doesn't put in, hi Lisa, doesn't put in an area here. See, now these were supposed to be scales, but I'm going ahead and making that in effect a background portion of it. And what I want you to be thinking about is, as I'm coloring this, I want you to think about the coloring books that you have that you can use this technique on. Zoom out. So now I'm going to go ahead and add some of this medium green, which is more of a bluish color. And again, this is one of those things that your eyes won't necessarily see, but your brain will. Stop doing the one-dimensional coloring, guys. This is not hard at all. Now, the neat thing about having this bluish green is that it's picking up the blue that I put on the chameleon itself. So there's lots and lots and lots of stuff going on here. And you might say, well, ILene, how do I know to do that? Well, since I put the blue on here, that told me to go ahead and work with a bluish green. And that's going to really work on the harmony of this piece. Okie dokie. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Zoom out. Well, anybody coming into this broadcast and seeing that picture is just going to see a bunch of circles. Okay. Now, I'm operating on the premise when I color this, zoom in, that the basic color of the skin is going to be this green. And then we've got the scales on top of it as to whatever color function that you want to do. So that's why with this blue, I went ahead and allowed that background. Hey Jean, hi. So Jean, you got the Johnson & Johnson shot? How did it make you feel afterwards? That's the one that I'm probably going to be getting on Thursday. Okay, now this is where, as you're coloring, guys, you can do your adjusting of your colors. And this is where I encourage you also that when you're coloring, that you get out of the mindset upset stomach for the day and headache for 3 days. Okay. How upset was your stomach? Like major upset? Did it cause you to physically react? Or did it you just had the feeling of upset? Zoom out? Oh, mainly the feeling. Okay, thank you. And if you don't mind me asking, Jean, but how, on a scale from 1 to 10, was it just mild? Yeah, I don't know the hospital that I would be going to get mine, because I was interested in doing the single shot. That's the one I would go to, but I guess I need to call ahead and see if they've suspended it. Zoom out. Okay, about a 4. Cool. Oh man, guys, look at this. Okay, so I've got this little arm here that's sticking down, and I want to show you how I'm going to handle that. Zoom in. Okay, so I'm going to outline my arm here, and I'm going with my darkest pencil. And I'm doing a combination of following the scales. Oh, have fun with your pencils, Jojo. I'm doing a combination of following the scales and just coloring the shading line. Hopefully that makes sense. So to do this part here, I'm coloring it as though the scales aren't there on that edge. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, Vicky's here. All right, so now I'm going to go back with my lightest green. And I'm going to carry that green up into my gray and my blue, blue, because I want to show that, darn it, coming together. So here's something that I really want you to pay attention to. When I laid down my base green here and carried that base green over the gray that was already up here in this blue, that's causing your brain to look at it as well. If I had just stopped my green right here That would have made it look funny. So in effect, I'm tinting my gray and my blue with this green in order to have that look cohesive. Does that make sense? Okay. And again, this is one of the things that your eyeballs aren't seeing, but your brain is. Zoom in. Yeah, I have a feeling that the hospital will probably pull that brand, that J&J. So I'll tootle off to Walmart or one of the other areas stores and get it. Okay, now the distance between the scales on this arm is pretty big. So that's allowing me to color in this background darker. And it may be somewhat annoying to do that, but trust me, it's worth it. Because that's another thing about coloring, is if it's annoying you to do something on a particular page, step away from it. And I'm also going to carry this green background up into my gray a little bit. Everybody see that? And I'm blending that up into it. So I'm getting lighter and lighter with the green as I'm going up into the gray. Questions, comments? Well, as Julie said, she did that with her job. It was annoying, so she stepped away. Good night, Katie. so tonight's theme is the more you fuss about something, about your coloring, the more that you shut off your creativity. So to be perfectly blunt, knock it off. Zoom out. Well, Jojo, that's the whole point. The minute you start stressing about your piece, you shut off your creativity. Okay. And I'll say that over and over and over again to try and get through to you guys about that. Now again, notice that I'm blending my green up into that blue stripe that I put up there. And by doing that and shoving a little bit of green on that blue, it's harmonizing everything else that I'm doing here. And that's exactly right, Jojo. And you've taken another piece of advice. Turn your mistakes into happy accidents. Zoom in. Everybody see how I pulled this green a little bit up into the blue? Well, I'm glad to hear that, Julie. Okay, so J&J suspended for only a few days. Okay. Zoom out. I'll call the hospital before I go Thursday and see what they're doing with it. Because like I said, last I heard they were using J&J. La-da-dum. Zoom out. Look at that, guys. Zoom out. And now I'm going to go through and put my medium green. Look at the bug on his nose. I really hope that you guys understand that I don't sit here and color just for the sake of coloring. When I pick a piece to do, there are specific reasons why I'm picking them to do. And I realize that some of these may not be as success, you know. Yeah, now everybody wants a lizard. I can even make a lizard look pretty. You know, I get comments from people all the time because I don't color the quote unquote popular pieces all the time. And there's a reason for that. Of course I have popular books. I've got the new Kirby Roseanne's. Okay, zoom in, zoom in. And again, I'm going to work my green up into my blue, and that's for transition reasons. So I'll get lighter and lighter and lighter. Look at that. Hey, Alan. Now, one thing I would always recommend to you, and I really haven't talked a lot about this, is when you're coloring, I want you to keep a black pencil on hand. I have an Amazon voucher. Woohoo! US voucher. This black is absolutely wonderful for showing depth and dimension. You managed to work out doing it on the USA site? Oh, yay. Well, Helen, my gosh, thank you. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, Helen. How generous of you to do that for our group. Well, you know me. I'll go after cool stuff with it. Thank you, Helen. Give that lady a high five, everybody. $100? Oh my gosh, Helen. Wow. Oh, guys. Please, thank Helen. You know, Helen, that I will put that to good use. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a beautiful thing to do for us. Big hugs to Helen. Zoom out. Well, you know I'll make good use of it. Oh, that's great of you, Wanda. You know, Helen, we promote our artists. We do, we do, we do. We love you guys. Well, I will tell you exactly what I end up doing with it. Okay, guys, what do you think so far? You're the best, Helen. You really are. You are the best. Well, you're welcome, Helen. That's why I'm here with this group. Okay, one more little area, and then I will flip over to another piece. And then I just need to decide what to make these little spikes. Now, the only potential problem that I see in this is this blue is a little bit brighter than what I intended. Well, Helen, you're welcome to pop in anytime. And that's important for me to know that this group being here has helped you. Okay, again, I'm going to pull a little bit of green over that blue. Not much. Zoom in. And here I have lots of opportunity now to show depth because the little scales are further apart. Yeah, I'll cover it. I'll either cover it with a light gray or I'll cover it with, I gotta think about that a minute. My white Prismacolor. So I don't regret the blue in there. I just regret the brightness of it. And regret's not the right word. Oh, I've got a pencil extender for every one of my colors, Jean. Okay. And this brings up another point, guys. Yeah, I'm not satisfied with the blue. I may even go over it with one of my greens. We'll see. Actually, Helen, I'll probably end up buying your new book with it, depending on when it comes out. When is that book going to come out? And you've sent another da-da-da? What is? What? Helen, what are you doing? Okay, now, are you guys ready for this? Drum roll. Zoom out. $200. Oh my gosh, Helen, what are you doing? Oh man. Wow. Don't go crazy, young lady. What am I saying? Go as crazy as you want. Oh my. Well, Helen, you know that this is a haven for artists. I've got new ones coming in as well. All right. I don't know, guys. If we keep her, if she keeps talking, she may even send a third $100. I'm joking, Helen. I really am. I'm cheery because you're nearly at the end of your book. Wow, $200. Ooh. Okay. Hey, Helen, did you see that? We want you to come live with your new book. Listen, guys, I keep trying to schedule her and she won't do it. So it's up to you guys to get her to do that. I'll let you know what the dollar amount is. Hey, if you want Helen to come in here live, you guys talk to her about it. I've asked her till I've been blue in the face. I want to make an event out of it and feature her book, so you'll have to talk to her about that. Okay, do you guys see how I'm punching up this brown? I'm actually using a flesh color. So if you guys can convince Helen to come in. Oh, Helen, thank you. Helen says, I believe in paying forward, and this group on a night has been great with me being in lockdown. Well, Helen, we're here for you, as I am here for other people. Helen, Helen, Helen. Come on, people, let's cheer her on to come in on a scheduled live. Helen, Helen, we want you on live. Come on, guys, help me. Send her text messages. Tell her we want her on a live. We'll get her to wear her peekaboo nightgown. That's okay, Rhonda. Shake it off. Okay. Ta-da! So I've got two more things that I want to do with this here. I want to tamp down that blue. Well, Helen, and you know, that's just like, let's see here. Just like what Maddie said, we've enjoyed having you here. Oh, there you go. You order a new nightie and then we have you come in on live. Just make sure that you're wearing panties, please. Okay. She said, yes, we'll hold you to it, Helen. We want to talk with you again. Ask your question. So do you guys like the idea of me doing an intro page to show the more or less items I've used in the book? Yes. For me, I like an intro page. Okay, guys, this is how I'm going to tamp down this blue. I just want to dull it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and use, this is a Faber-Castell Light Flesh. So the picture of an eraser, okay. I'm using the side of my pencil and I'm going through and I'm putting this beige flesh on top of the blue. And that's tamping it down beautifully. Zoom in. Well, Helen, by having what tools are used, because you know the people are going to ask, especially newbies. Zoom out. Okay, I'm hoping you guys will start to see the difference now. So this has got the beige on top of it, just a very light addition of it. Zoom in. Can you guys see the difference now between any nightie will be fine? Oh man, I can see where this is going. Okay, can you guys see the difference between this blue and this blue? Zoom in. So I want you to watch. Look at the difference as I do this. And I'm not pressing very hard. I'm just putting enough on here to dull down that color. And I'm using the side of my pencil. Don't overload it. And look, you can definitely see the difference between here and here, okay? Now, let's talk about this a minute. This blue, when I put it on there, was one of those seemed like a good idea at the time. And it's turned out that it wasn't, based on my other colors that I put on there. So this is where you go in and you don't panic and you don't say, oh my gosh, I screwed it up. You go through and you fix it. And the fix is very, very very straightforward. Now, because of the type of teacher I am, I'm not going to act like that this was a natural step to do this, to say, well, put down a brighter blue and then tamp it down. What I'm saying to you is I miscalculated the blue based on what else I ended up doing with this. So that's how you fix that. Yeah, possibly the turquoise. Okay, we can do that. Now, having said that about the blue, I could have gone through and made my other colors brighter, but it just didn't work out the way I wanted it. Zoom out. So now you can really see the difference. Here's my blues that I tamped down. Here's my bright blue. Anybody have any questions or comments about that? So when I put down this blue, I had the choice of making my other colors as bold or just working through my patterns, because see, I already had this brown. And honestly, that should have cued me right there not to get so bold with the blue. Now, there's a third way of looking at this, which is also important, so follow me about this. Is if you're coloring and you know that you can use this method to tamp down a color, then you can go ahead and use your bold color knowing full well that you're going to end up tamping it down. Does that make sense? So in other words, I don't want you to shy away from using a bold color, because it may be that if you try to use a softer blue to get this effect, it may not work out the way you want it. I really hope that makes sense. Zoom in. Zoom in. Zoom in. So I don't want you to blow off using bright colors. I want you to learn that you can use a bright color knowing full well that you can tamp it down. Does everybody see that? All right, let's take in with this now. Yeah, I'll go ahead and, yeah, the turquoise would work. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Oh, much, much, much better. All right, let me grab a little water. And you'll notice now, if you need to do this for your own edification, take a shot of the screen I can't say it the other way around or else Siri will do that for me. On this video, and look at the before and after, okay? Now, the other thing I want to point out is if there are other areas on this that you want to tamp down, then you can use something like this flesh color to do that. All right, let me find a turquoise. Turquoise. Let's see here. Excuse my hand. And as Wanda suggested too, you know, that again, that turquoise over the blue, fine. All right, let me find a turquoise, and I'll transition now that blue and that green a little more, per Helen's comment. Let's see here. I will be putting shadows under the chin. I've got these spikes yet to do, which I'm still debating what color to use. I'm thinking about a gray. Okay, so here's my turquoise. So let's go ahead and play with that a little bit now. Zoom in. Zoom in. Zoom in. So what I'm going to do now is take this turquoise blue or turquoise green if you want to call it that. And I'm going to go ahead and work it between my blues and the green. And while I'm at it, I'm even going to bring that turquoise into the scales a little bit more. Now, where I don't have this blue next to a green, I'm just going to go ahead and put that turquoise over that blue a little bit. And remember, a chameleon, when you look at it, just has such a huge array of color and sheen on it and shade. So all these different values are coming into the skin. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, Helen, is I'm bringing that turquoise up into the green here. So this is one of those things where your brain is seeing it, but your eyes aren't necessarily seeing it. So here's my area between. And I'm going ahead and adding that tint of turquoise. Zoom out. Now the question will come up, well, would I still need to tamp down the blue? And my answer is yes. So I've tamped down my blue, and now I'm going through and I'm adding the shade of the turquoise. Okay, zoom in. Zoom in. Yeah, I can do the purple to the transition, sure. Good night, Miss Rhonda. I hope you enjoyed this evening. Zoom out. Zoom out. And I'm even going to carry this turquoise over. Zoom in. Zoom in. Over on this light blue that I had here. So now we've got several shades working beautifully. We've got the turquoise, we've got the blue, and we've got the green. And the reason that I love working on this chameleon so much is because we can do things like this. Yeah, and you're right, Helen. People think that they've got to do each individual circle. And you can, if you want to do that. I did that a little bit on the brown. Now, let me go with my turquoise over here. I'm going to sneeze, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. And what I also want you to see too, guys, is you can run streaks of that purple through these areas. See how I'm doing that? Okay. Now, I'm going to leave the turquoise off the green here because I want this arm now to be a little more separate and independent. I mean, I'll put a little bit on there, but I'm going to leave that mostly green. And then I'm going to pop over here and add my turquoise now over here. And I'm even going to carry my turquoise up into the lighter blue. Zoom in. See this turquoise streak right here? I'm going to streak that. Make like a little smiley face. And I'm going to blend it. Blend the heck out of it. Turquoise, blue, and green work together beautifully. And what Helen is saying by adding that, especially between the blue and the green, is that's giving us all sorts of dimension. Does anybody have any questions about that? So remember, blue, green, and turquoise, and have at it. Zoom out. Zoom out. See how I'm adding that swatch of turquoise right here? Okay, well, we need to figure out what exactly you mean by the neon yellow. Are you talking about a highlighter? I may not have the neon yellow that you're suggesting. Okay, I've got that. So does everybody see now how this addition of this turquoise is really giving us a whole bunch of across the spectrum look? Okay, is this what you're talking about, Helen? These are the highlighters that I have. Okay. I will do that. Zoom in. Zoom in. Zoom in. Let me get real close so you guys can see this. Okay, now see this, here it is. This is the yellow that she's talking about. So I'm going to pop that on top of the eye here. Zoom out. And then I'm going to put a little bit around the outside here. And then, ooh, see how that's popping that? And then I'm going to go ahead and add it to my spirals because I've got that tint of yellow. And don't forget to clean it off a little bit on your paper towel just to get that, make sure it's flowing. Okay, there you go. See that, Helen? Zoom out. There you go, guys. Look at that pop. And what I think I'm going to do is add a little bit of that to my orange brown. Zoom out. Yeah, what a difference. And I'll go ahead and add just a little bit underneath this chin, not much. Be sure to clean it off in between. And again, this is one of those things that, good night, Pearl, your brain is seeing, but not necessarily your eye. So I'm going to carry that all the way through. And as Helen said, you don't want to do this in solid batches because otherwise you defeat the purpose of what this is doing. Look at that. Is that not cool? All your secrets are gone. Oh, Helen. But Helen, that's what we do as artists, is we share, right? Okay. I think what I'm going to do with those spikes, so we've got some spikes on the back of the chameleon, is I'm just going to go ahead and probably use a nice gray. Because we've got so many colors here. Oh, Helen, you love sharing. You just can't help yourself. Oh yeah, that sparkle is still there. Zoom in. Zoom in. See it? There you go. And if you feel like you've lost some of that sparkle, I can always go back over and put another coat on there. Okay. Yeah, now I've got to get a set of neon markers, Helen. I've got pink and blue, actually. I think, oh, there may be greens. Zoom out. And look how everything harmonizes, guys. So I tamped down that blue. And now we've got everything working together a lot better. Okay. Zoom in. UK people call them neon highlighters. Okay. Yeah, we just call them highlighters. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put down I'm using my water-based, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a very light gray down in here, and then any areas that I want to shadow, I'll just go back over it. Zoom in. Well, I think what was throwing us the other day, Helen, was when you added the word neon to highlighter, because we just called them the highlighters. Okay, see how I'm darkening these areas? Oh, I got you, Helen. I'll clarify that with Jeff. Now notice on these areas where the squiggly marks are, this is where I'm darkening this, and at the base. Yeah, Julie, I'll straighten that out with Jeff. Oh man, this is gonna look cool too. Zoom out. And I'm double checking. I'm not getting any of this gray through here. And again, come with your initial gray, your light gray, and then go back and darken. Zoom in. Good night, Sandra. Good night, Sandra. Good night, Sandra. Good night, Sandra. So glad you were here with us tonight. So Helen says I better go to sleep so I can look for new nightie for my book launch. All right, Helen. You and I will need to coordinate what day. And that way I can put out notices to different groups. Oh man, guys, look at this. Zoom out. Zoom out. Absolutely gorgeous, guys. Few weeks away. Okay, well, I need to know a week in advance So you'll need to let me know when it hits the Amazon shelf, because what's going to happen, Helen, is when it hits Amazon, people are going to want to pick it up. So you'll end up making sales through that. All right, what do you guys think of this so far? Isn't that cool? Let me grab a little bit of water. All right, now I want to take care of some of the leaves directly around this, because depending on how much time we have left, I want to show you how I want to shade this, because we're going to shade around the chameleon as well. Zoom in. So this is where now you want to go ahead and start, like I said, do your shading here. Or not shading, I'm sorry, the leaf coloring. Now the one thing that we need to be careful of is we don't want to get, well, there's two schools of thought on that. A chameleon, by what it is, blends in, right? So what you need to decide for yourself here is, do you want a, hi Julie, do you want a standalone chameleon, or do you want it to blend into this background? And my choice would be to go ahead and have it be a standalone chameleon, because we've done a lot to really up these colors on here and make it look terrific. So now that I'm doing these leaves, I want to pick colors that are different from my chameleon greens. Does that make sense to everybody? I need to make sure that all of her books are listed in our affiliate too. Let me check that. when I go off camera. Zoom in. And the other thing you need to be careful in doing this is we've got so many colors shooting at you here that you want to not get too crazy with the greens that you're using. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use I'll add her books to the affiliate list tonight, guys. So if you wouldn't mind waiting until tomorrow to order the books, I would appreciate that. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead with the same color and shade in my veins. You're so vain. You probably think this song is about you. Okay, see how I'm getting a nice set of shading on this, and I haven't blended it yet because I've got the popcorn effect. Yeah, that's correct, Lila. 4 books on how to color by Helen, and her 5th book is how to draw is coming out soon. Zoom out. Zoom out. So this is book 3 and 4 that she has put out. Notice how she's got the yellow in here. She loves her yellow highlighter. So this is book number 3 to show you how to draw and color. So here, for example, is how to do the stones over a fairy door. There's that. And that starts over on this page, and it walks you through step by step. Okay. And it shows you how to draw them and color them. So this is number 3, and then here's number 4, which of course is her latest one. Yes, Helen has got a bunch of coloring books out. Here's how to do a spooky eyeball. And she starts it from step 1 and goes over, okay? So this is pretty nifty. Yeah, Helen's last coloring contest was a blast. Here's one how to do toast. Isn't that cool? There's the toast. Sugar-coated chocolate on this one, and rainbow sweets. Mushroom slice. Okay, so yeah. She has coloring books and instruction books. Well, I guarantee you, Stephanie, you will see a lot of Helen. Oh my. Zoom in. Okay, so I'm using a very limited palette here. Oh, you didn't know she was an author, Stephanie? Yeah. She's got quite a few coloring books on Amazon. All right, now one of the things about this particular piece here is it's not very clear what part of these leaves go to what. So that's probably a background right there. So I'm using, basically, this is just my base color now that I'm putting down here, just so that you remember that. Oh, this is driving me crazy here. Okay, so there's a leaf there. We always do, Stephanie. Well, we talk about. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I gotcha. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this whole thing here. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. You see how I'm using the lighter greens on all of this so that I don't take away from this gorgeous chameleon. And again, keep in mind, this is just a base color. I'll come back in and do my shading. And we'll go ahead and tint up these different leaves. Oop. Yeah. Sorry about that. Zoom in. And guys, this all goes back to everything that I always tell you. Zoom in. Is that when you're laying down a color, tint it in. And then you can go back and do whatever shade that you want to do after the fact. How cool is this looking? Zoom out. Zoom out. Everybody see how this is falling into place now? And by no means are all these leaves going to be the same color. I just want to make sure that you understand that. Right now, I'm just tinting this in so we can see that background. And the leaves against the chameleon itself. Let me go ahead and get another light green. Well, let's see what I can find here. Bear with me. Zoom in. And again, right now I'm not worried about gaps. I'm not worried about any popcorn effect that I may have. Right now I just want to get my color in here so I can make final decisions on how I want to color this. Zoom in. zoom in. Now, is this tedious? A little bit. But honestly, I'm not really here to entertain you. I'm here to teach you. And that's why I want you to see how this evolves. So hang with me here. But as you know, as a teacher, that I can be pretty entertaining. Sometimes even intentionally. Just hang with me, guys. I'm almost done. And if you accidentally color something green that you later figure out should be black, that's fine. You can just go back over it with your marker. As I mentioned, I used the Chaleleon black. It has gone somewhere on my desk. Zoom out. Well, I'll fix that later. Okay. One more big leaf. Well, Melba, yeah, I know that can happen. And what I would suggest to you is that when you're working on something and you start to get impatient, do something else. Okay, so I'm going to darken here. Just hang in there with me, guys. And I'm doing just a little bit of shading. I mean, this is very rough. Okay. Zoom out. So here's what I want you to see. Zoom out. For the most part now, let's see if I can get you a little more. Oop, hold on. Well, that didn't turn out well. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Let me get you squared away. There we go. Sorry about the camera adjustment, guys. Let me get back to my wide view. Now that I've made you all dizzy. All right, can you guys see now how this whole piece is just starting to come out beautifully, where the chameleon is coming to the forefront? And then the leaves in the back are complementing it beautifully. And again, I'll say it again, I'm just tinting the leaves. I'm staying with 2 or 3 of the same colors. And that way we don't get it drawing away from what we want to show as far as the chameleon. Zoom out. Okay, I think I've got enough done now that you can see the effect. All right, look it over here, guys. And look how gorgeous that looks now. We've got all the tinting and the lighter greens. And you know, I'll finish that up. And then I'll shade around the outside. And then here's the other side. Zoom out. Well, and Maddie, that's why I keep telling you guys until I'm blue in the face. Quit giving up on your coloring pieces. Because where you thought that this wasn't going to come together, it did, right? That's right, but wait until the ladybugs get on there. You better believe it. So for those of you that get upset with how your pieces are turning out, I don't care if you're drawing them yourself or what the deal is, quit stopping in the middle. Absolutely no reason for that. You need to start having confidence in what you're doing. And actually, hindsight being 2020, I really wish that I just stayed with the lighter greens like on this one here and just done that way all the way out. But that's okay. You know, it's done. But see now, this lighter background will enhance the chameleon. All right. Oh, there it is. I found it. Oh, yay. Zoom in. Let's see. Zoom in. So this was my little area right here that needed to go black. And if you get too far over the edge, like I did right there, fix it, right? There we go. Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it an evening. Thanks for sticking around. And I think you've learned a valuable lesson, I hope. Don't get bored with what I'm coloring, number one. Well, there's a bunch of lessons I was doing through here. But as soon as I finish that background and then do a little bit of shadowing around that chameleon and then add the ladybug, that's where we're going to have a lot of fun with this. All right, anybody have any questions or comments? I love how this is turning out. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Take care. This is ILene Vick for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. Joyous, joyous coloring, as always. And you guys are most welcome. I'm glad you learned a lot. Do not be overwhelmed, okay? Promise me. It's not hard. All right, guys, take care. Bye.